Multiple MicroStrategy copycats are scooping up Bitcoin at an unprecedented rate, and this is all triggering the potential of a Bitcoin short squeeze because they are scooping up Bitcoin off exchanges at a rate like we've never seen before. And to top it all off, the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is rapidly decreasing at a rate we've never seen before. Now look at this gap increasingly widening here on a daily basis as more and more Bitcoin keeps getting off an exchange. And it seems like we hit this inflection point at late last year in November as more Bitcoin was getting scooped up off an exchange comparatively to what was being bought. Now, to top it all off, we are seeing another MSTR copycat in GameStop now buying Bitcoin. So, Ryan Cohen at the biggest Bitcoin conference in the world went and spoke and talked about their new Bitcoin strategy. Everybody was speculating, when is GameStop going to buy Bitcoin? They haven't announced it just yet. Are they actually going to do it? Well, look, this Forbes article, buckle up. GameStop confirms a bombshell as wild speculation fuels huge price surge. And this was the other day, just 3 days ago, where Bitcoin surged in recent weeks, propping all-time high. And Ryan Cohen and GameStop announced a buy of 4,710 Bitcoin, worth about $511 million. Now, this is just one of the MSTR copycats that is now buying Bitcoin. We've also had Trump's media company take a $2.5 billion investment to buy Bitcoin. So it seems like the wave is now coming along where everybody is looking at Bitcoin as a way to pump up their balance sheet. Ryan Cohen and GameStop doing this $511 million Bitcoin buy. You might be saying to yourself, okay, that is not that much, and they rose $1.3 billion worth. Well, if you look back at the numbers, MSTR, their first buy was at $250 million, or just roughly half that of GameStop's first buy. So already the big copycat in GameStop is doubling up on what MSTR did not too long ago. And then we're seeing the wave of GameStop and how this is changing investors already looking at GameStop as putting it on its balance sheet. Investors are actually fleeing away following this $500 million Bitcoin splurge, which I think is interesting that they're putting it on there. But the reality is that all of these MSTR copycats are looking at Bitcoin for one reason, because it's the best performing asset of the past 15, 16 years since its creation. But I think they're all seeing this, right? They're all seeing this chart right here where the amount of Bitcoin getting scooped off of exchanges is hitting an all-time rate. And then we also have, MSTR buying Bitcoin, doing what it's doing. We've got Donald Trump's media company talking about buying $2.5 billion worth. We've got Jack Mallers also talking about buying up to $1 million or 1 million Bitcoin and putting it on 21's balance sheet. So they bought this 4,812, valuing at $458 million. So we've got a lot of Bitcoin being scooped off exchanges and doing it very quickly. And the reality of this situation is that there's not a lot of Bitcoin left to be mined, folks. There's only about 1.4 million Bitcoin left to be mined. And that's going to happen over the next 100 plus years. So these zombie companies scooping up Bitcoin and these ultra wealthy with big balance sheet. And we're going to get into the ultra wealthy here in a minute, because last time I joined you guys, there's been a lot of news that has come down. I mean, I was just in Vegas at this Bitcoin conference. The vibe around Bitcoin has absolutely changed. Everything has shifted. And part of it is because these giant corporations are seeing Bitcoin as something viable to put on their balance sheet. Zombie companies should be no more, because these companies should be putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet and continue to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet because of this and this right here. Bitcoin mining producing 450 Bitcoin daily, which adds up to about roughly 3,150 Bitcoin weekly. Well, what did we just see? All right, 21 bought that amount in less than a week. We had 4,812 Bitcoin bought. Trump is looking to buy $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. So, quick math here, but that looks like, I believe, 25,000 Bitcoin, if I've got that correct. Now, I'm sorry about that if that math isn't correct, but I'm doing this on the fly here. And then we have GameStop also buying 4,710 Bitcoin. And on top of that, we have Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin. We have other companies buying Bitcoin. And we have giant governments now starting to get in and to buy Bitcoin. So the amount of Bitcoin treasury companies is absolutely accelerating. The amount of Bitcoin on a balance sheet is absolutely accelerating. And that's not going to be slowing down anytime soon, because, we've got MicroStrategy. Here we go. This was earlier this week where they bought 4,020 Bitcoin. And they announce these Bitcoin buys literally every single week, right? So they are essentially saying, hey, we are buying more Bitcoin that is being mined every single week. And same with everybody else, right? So a lot of these Bitcoin related, or these zombie companies, as you guys in the chat are calling them, a lot of them are going to continue and basically have no other choice but to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet and do it very quickly because of the amount of Bitcoin just being scooped off of balance sheets, right? So Bitcoin on publicly traded companies is accelerating. We're seeing the amount of Bitcoin on treasuries absolutely skyrocket in flight. We've got 214 and now 116 publicly traded companies. We've even got a full-on company called Bitcoin for Corporations, for Christ's sake, who is encouraging companies to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet and continue to do this. So the reality of the situation is all of these are accelerating. We've gotten over 49,000 Bitcoin being bought in a single week from just these entities that we know. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that math of 49,000 is a whole hell of a lot more than that 3,000 is mined on a single weekly basis. But okay, maybe we say that happened over this past month. That is still greater than that by about 4 times, maybe 3 to 4 times more, right? So 3 to 4 times more, that's looking at the amount of Bitcoin in a quarter scooped up by just these single entities, right? So 13,500 Bitcoin, say, even if you're on the bear side of things, Brandon, they're not doing this on a weekly basis. They're doing this on a quarterly basis. Well, okay, multiply this times 4. That 49,000 is almost all of the Bitcoin scooped up off of exchanges just by these entities that we are naming here today. That doesn't include governments. That doesn't include retail taking their Bitcoin off an exchange. That doesn't include all of these excess factors. And that's also assuming that these Bitcoin miners are selling Bitcoin directly to these exchanges and keeping it to these exchanges. So all of these factors adding up is making for the perfect Bitcoin cocktail for us to start skyrocketing and keep on going up. And on top of it all, we don't even have to sell our Bitcoin anymore. We've got Jack Mallers in 21 making the lending out for Bitcoin more accessible to the everyday person. We've got all these different products getting more and more accessible to the everyday person, so you don't have to sell your Bitcoin for your everyday expenses. So this is continuing all while all of these major corporations are continuing to buy, and the Bitcoin balance on exchanges is starting to fall down. And that's going to continue to fall down, folks. We're going to definitely start to see this. And especially as we start to see this price start to shoot up. We've got the Bitcoin price dumping to 104,000. That's absolute lunacy here, right? I don't understand how we can actually really realistically believe that Bitcoin is crashing to 104,000. But here we are, folks. Here we are. And like many of you know, I'm a strong advocate for getting your Bitcoin off an exchange. We're seeing the exchanges lose their balance, and we're seeing Coinbase and others now have problems with withdrawing their Bitcoin when a person is now buying it, and even just a little bit of an amount of Bitcoin. And so, with that, right? This is why I've partnered with my friends over at the Bitcoin Well. If you go to bitcoinwell.com/green candle, you could sign up today, and then you will win 500 Bitcoin Wishing Well tokens, and then you'll get 500 on your first transaction. So that is 2 coins in the Wishing Well now for your potential chance to win 1 million sats. So let's get your Lightning wallets ready, because we are going to be giving you sats. Make sure you smoke that like Cheech and Chong. You hit that subscribe button with the bell notification so you know when I'm giving you free sats. And boom, we got 683 sats straight to the dome piece. Now, if you miss this, if somebody else in the chat scooped up these sats well before you, you could go to bitcoinwell.com/green candle, sign up here, enter your email in there, or you can go down to their OTC desk and they will walk you through a 50K purchase or more. On top of it, go to bitbox.swiss. Get yourself one. I've got mine sitting right next to me here, where you could go and get the Bitcoin only edition. Go get it now. You could use promo code Green Candle and get 5% off your entire order. And on top of it, they've got a steel wallet for you. So go ahead and go to bitbox.swiss, because what we're seeing is the amount of Bitcoin scooped up off exchanges accelerate here. So we've got nice bullish comment of buyers up there. BTC Force. What is BTC Force saying? BTC for savings and capital appreciation. MSTY for income and taxes, expenses, and investment. Look, I hold MSTY. I'm now into MSTR. Many of you guys were chirping me because I'm doing some videos on that, and I actually might have a video on that dropping soon. But BTC Moon Guy is saying when 1 million. I think we're actually coming very soon. Most of these zombie companies buying Bitcoin will be sellers of BTC in the future. GameStop has no future, neither does AMC. There's not a single theater company in the world that will ever be profitable again. Wow. Look at that. That is crazy. Steak and Shake in Pakistan. Maybe that'll work. I'm not sure. Here, BTC Moon Guy. But what I am sure about is this. What we're seeing, Bitcoin absolutely getting scooped up off an exchanges at an all-time rate. And I think that this is a bullish signal that everybody should be keeping an extremely close eye on.